if the open category is consisting of only one Indian, then in the women's candidates, we have 3. Now, all eyes will be on Divya Deshmukh as she aims to become the youngest contender to the World Championship. Ju Wenjun is currently the world champion, and if Divya Deshmukh wins, you could see a Gukesh moment repeat in 2026. But on the other hand, not just Divya Deshmukh, there are 2 other Indians who managed to qualify, and that is Koneru Humpy and Vaishali Ramesh Babu. Now, FIDE have released out the pairings for the women's candidates as well. The pairings were released even for the open category, which Pragnananda has featuring in. Now, Vaishali, Koneru Humpy and Divya Deshmukh, who are their opponents and pairings going to be? Now, first off, we have an all-Indian clash. First round. It will be Divya Deshmukh versus Koneru Humpy. It's a repeat of the World Cup final in which Divya Deshmukh managed to beat Koneru Humpy. But Vaishali's opponent is going to be Bibisara Asuboyeva, and Bibisara, remember, has been competing brilliantly, and she also competed in the freestyle events as well, making her a very strong contender. Apart from that, Goryachkina, Lagno, Zuzhiner and Tanzongi, it's not just an all-Indian, it's also going to be an all-Chinese encounter with Tanzongi taking on Zuzhiner, and maybe we could have another all-Chinese encounter in the World Championship. But then after that, in round 2, Koneru Humpy will take on Tanzongi and Divya Deshmukh will take on Vaishali Ramesh Babu. So for the second straight game, we have an all-Indian clash at this point. Divya Deshmukh needs to understand that she's been playing all open category events as well on invitation. And that's why heading into the women's candidate, she'll be determined to put on a great show. Then for the third round, we have another all-Indian confrontation. Koneru Humpy will take on Vaishali Ramesh Babu, while Alexandra Goryachkina will take on Divya Deshmukh. Now, Goryachkina is one of the strongest opponents that is there, along with Tanzongi and Zuzhiner and Bibisara Asuboyeva. So that's why she has to be really careful when she squares off against Goryachkina. Then Zuzhiner, Bibisara Asuboyeva, Tanzongi and Katerina Lagno. Then in round 4, Koneru Humpy will take on Katerina Lagno. Divya Deshmukh will take on Zuzhiner. Now remember, in the World Cup, she was at her brilliant best against the Chinese grandmasters, and that's why Divya Deshmukh will be determined to put one over Zuzhiner, and Vaishali faces a tough encounter against Alexandra Goryachkina at this stage. Then in round 5, Koneru Humpy takes on Goryachkina, then Zuzhiner takes on Vaishali, and Divya Deshmukh takes on Tanzongi. So you have the Chinese wave then after that India will have to encounter in these particular instances. Then in round 6, Zuzhiner will take on Koneru Humpy, Katerina Lagno will take on Vaishali Ramesh Babu, and Divya Deshmukh takes on Bibisara Asuboyeva. You're now reaching the midpoint, round 7, where Humpy will take on Asuboyeva, Divya Deshmukh will take on Lagno, and Vaishali Ramesh Babu will take on Tanzongi. So at the halfway point, every opponent is like heavily stacked to win the candidates, and it's not going to be easy for our 3 Indian grandmasters who will be there. Then after that, you are approaching the business end. Remember, it's a double round robin, and that's why Humpy will again take on Divya Deshmukh, Vaishali will take on Bibisara, and you have Katerina Lagno, Alexandra Goryachkina and Tanzongi take on Zuzhiner. So once again, the all-Indian thing will be repeated as usual. Tanzongi will take on Koneru Humpy, Zuzhiner will take on Katerina Lagno, Bibisara versus Goryachkina, and Vaishali versus Divya Deshmukh. Then Humpy will take on Vaishali again, and Divya Deshmukh will take on Goryachkina. So all Indian battles will be done by this particular point in time in round 10. Round 11, Humpy will take on Lagno, and Vaishali will take on Goryachkina, and Zuzhiner will take on Divya Deshmukh. Basically, Divya Deshmukh's battles against Zuzhiner might very well determine who comes into the top bracket, and also her battles against Bibisara. Round 12, Humpy will take on Goryachkina, Vaishali will take on Zuzhiner, Divya Deshmukh will take on Tanzongi. And then in the final penultimate rounds, when you look at it, Humpy will take on Asuboyeva, Divya Deshmukh will take on Lagno, and Vaishali will take on Tanzongi. And in the final round, it might very well boil down to this: Zuzhiner versus Koneru Humpy, Vaishali versus Katerina Lagno, and Divya Deshmukh versus Bibisara Asuboyeva. Now remember, last time India had 3 grandmasters in the candidates. One of them went on to challenge Ju for the world champion, Ju Wenjun for the world championships. Last time in the open category, it was Vidit, Prag, Gukesh, and Gukesh won the candidates to challenge Dinglijan. Here, can Vaishali or Humpy or Divya do well to ensure they challenge Ju Wenjun for the women's championships? Remember, the women's championships could be held around December and the men's could be held around November. So that's why this is going to be a very, very important thing. But the candidates' pairings and schedule is now out. We all now await with bated breath for March and April as to how India will do well in this ultimate chess tournament to determine who will play the world champion. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.